こないなとこ呼び出して何のつもりなんすか？
しばらく会わないうちに関西弁うまくなりましたね。よく努力されてるようだ。島野さんが目をかけているのもよくわかります。
せやから何なんすか？用があるなら早言うてください。柴田は
ん。礼服ですか。今日は誰かの葬式ですか？
いや、それは別に。
ああ、そういえば笹井のとこの冴島も今日は礼服を着て出かけて行ったみたいです。
そうですか。
単刀直入に言います。今日の上野義治の襲撃、真島さん行かないでください。
どうしてそれを？
あなたと冴島は今日出所直後の上野義治を都内のラーメン屋で襲う、そういう計画ですよね。実はあの計画ちょっと問題がありましてね。予定を変更させてもらうことになりました。
どういうことや？
上野清和会を今潰すのは得策ではない。堂島組長がそう判断したということです。
なんやと？
そう興奮しないで。これはあなたが所属する堂島組が決定したことなんですから。
柴田はん、ちゃんと説明してくれや。
そもそも今回の上野義治襲撃の計画、あれは堂島組が都内の島拡大のため計画したのが事の発端です。その計画を堂島組は笹井組へと託した。そこまでは知ってますね。
なあ、せやから堂島組の俺と笹井組の冴島がやることになったんや。
そうです。でもこの計画何かおかしいと思いませんか？
何がや？
我々登場会はどうして出所直後の上野義治が都内のラーメン屋に来るという情報を知り得たのか、考えてもみてください。2年もの間刑務所に入っていた人間が出所直後ラーメンを食べるなんて陳腐な行動に出ると思いますか？上野清和会の総長ともなれば組が用意した方面祝いに向かうのが常識です。
それは
おかしいんですよ。この話は最初から裏の内通者によって仕組まれた可能性が高いんです。
内通者？
狭く人目につかない郊外のラーメン店、襲ってくださいと言わんばかりの場所にわざわざ出所直後の大物が行くと思いますか？
それじゃどうして上野は？
おそらくこの計画、裏で上野清和会の裏切り者と東上会の裏切り者とが手を組み仕組んだものなんです。
裏切り者やと？
ええ。上野が出所後そのラーメン屋にやってくるという情報を出した人間、それを仕入れた人間、それが上野清和会の裏切り者、東上会の裏切り者ということになります。
それは誰なんや？
東上会の裏切り者は分かっています。笹井秀樹、今襲撃に向かっている冴島大河の親、笹井組の組長である笹井がこの情報を仕入れた張本人です。
笹井のおじき？
笹井は上野清和会とつながっている。笹井は東上会に上野が現れる場所の情報を流し、わざと我々が襲撃するよう促した。
どうしてそんなことを？
戦争を起こす気なんですよ。
戦争？
笹井は東上会が上野清和会に手を出すきっかけを作り出すことで、逆に上野清和会が東上会相手に戦争を仕掛ける理由を作り出そうとしているんです。
そないなことして何の得になるんや？
さあ、そこまでは分かりません。ただ上野清和会にとってはこれ以上ない戦争の大義名分が出来上がる。何せ先に手を出したのは東上会なんですからね。きっと笹井は上野清和会側の内通者と手を組み戦争の事態収拾に動く。そうなれば笹井は一躍 登場界の幹部候補として名が売れる。そんなとこでしょ。真島さん、今日の襲撃、堂島組の人間であるあなたは言ってはいけない。このまま襲撃に向かえば堂島組長、いや島野さんにも迷惑をかけることになってしまいます。真島さん、私の話聞いてますか？
兄弟はもう向かってねえや。じゃあ俺はどうしたらええんじゃ。
真島さん、
あんたは俺に兄弟裏切れっちゅうんか。このまま見殺しにせえっちゅうんか。
落ち着いて落ち着いて。
俺は行く。たとえどんな裏があっても構へん。俺にとって冴島はたった一人の兄弟なんじゃ。
真島さん、でもそれじゃああなたの身も。
うるさい、関係ないわ。こっちはそないなもんとっくに捨てる払ってきたんじゃ。
そうですか。それじゃ仕方ありませんね。おい、こういった手荒な真似はしたくなかったんですが、残念です。
柴田、
あなたにはしばらくの間ここで暮らしてもらいます。
柴田。くそ、なんて野郎だ。この人数相手に手こずらせやがって。いい根性してるぜ。さすが襲撃を任されるわけだ。いいか、俺たちは親父の命令であんたをここに監禁してるわけだが、殺すなとしか言われてねえ。つまりだ、暴れたあんたを落ち着かせるためなら多少の傷を負わせても何にも問題ねえってわけだ。例えば目ん玉の一つくらいだったらな。さあ謝れ。泣いて俺に詫びろ。できへん。何？俺が頭下げれんのは自分の親父と自分が認めた男だけや。それじゃあ覚悟はできてるってことだな。目ん玉一つくらいでお前には頭下げん。ああ、そうかよ。
答えろよ。なんでお前あの日スカイファイナンスの前の現場にいたんだ。仏の顔にお前の指紋がべったりくっついていた。死体に素手で触れるデカがいるか普通。おいてめえ、俺の話聞いてんのか？聞いてんのかって聞いてんだ。
よし、来い。
なんだお前。
あ、
何聞いてやんだ。てめえ、こんな時に競馬か。たくどうなってんだよ、生活安全課よ。
まあ、そう目くじら立てないで。
ああ、
もういいですか？時間ないんで。
時間だ。おい谷村、
なんすか？
一つだけ忠告しておいてやる。一人で何を嗅ぎ回ってるのか知らないが、妙なことに首突っ込んでると親父さんの二の舞になるぞ。なんだ、何見てんだ。
いや、別に。ご忠告どうも。
どこ行く。
見回りですよ。ケイラは生活安全課の基本ですから。
何が見回りだ。どうせ違法営業店を脅して口止めに賄賂もらったりしてんだろうが。
まあ、ご想像にお任せします。それじゃ。
谷が。
谷村君、ちょっと谷村君、はあ、よかった、追いついて。はあ、
In games till someone loses an eye, eh? Anyway, welcome back to our Yakuza 4 Remastered playthrough. In our last episode, our good friend Saejima found, with the help of the Florist of Sai, his old boss, Sasai, who's gone a little tiny bit, not so you'd notice, insane, by being on the streets for the last 25 years. Good for him. He also met up with Majima. And that's going to be quite an interesting climax, I believe, when eventually we get to it. But now we are in Chapter 3, and our third protagonist has come along, the quote-unquote not bent cop. So let's see what the not bent cop has to do and say for himself, shall we? Anyway, Tanimura asks, "Hey, what's up, Chief?" Hisai asks, "Is that all you have to say? You went to a mahjong parlor during your patrol yesterday. That's what's up." Tanimura said, "I did." Hisai says, "This isn't a joke. Please don't gamble while you're on duty. I shouldn't have to remind you." Tanimura says, "Okay, all right." Hisai says, "Look, someone called in saying you took them for tens of thousands of yen. What do I say to that?" Tanimura asks, "Who'd you say called that in?" Hisai says, "I didn't. I can only imagine what you'd do to the poor fellow if I did." Tanimura has nothing to say to this. Hisai says, "Anyway, think of the position you're putting me in here. What would I say to your father, letting you run amok like this? I should mention I risked my neck pulling you into community safety. Have you ever considered that?" Tanimura says, "Yeah, you're right. Sorry." Hisai says, "At least make an effort to stay on track, all right?" And then he wanders off. Loading, loading, loading. Yep, now loading. There we go. We're outside. Tanimura thinks to himself, "Okay, now to find whoever ratted me out of the force. Orchid Palace Mahjong was a good place to start." You know what's a better place to start? Getting sponsored sushi. there's a sparkly thing. Tanimura thinks to himself, there's something here. And we got Taikei Boulevard locker key A5. All our trouble. Hello. The employee says, welcome. I notice you're still not the rather lovely chick from 1988. But anyway. We'll take 4 sponsored sushis, I think, yes. There we go. The employee says, thank you and have a great day. Yes, if you could hurry up and find that rather nice looking chick from 1988, that would be sweet. Anyway, Orchid Palace Mahjong. A studious dude says, damn it, I can't believe I lost again. Scholarly girl asks, what, more Mahjong? Where at, Orchid Palace? Studious dude says, yeah, I was there all night playing, but I got completely cleaned out. I'm still in shock. Scholarly girl says, oh, I see. But you're just going to go right back to it, aren't you? Studious dude says, yeah, I'll probably get the urge to play again in another 2 or 3 days. I'm sure your missus will love hearing that. The police officer says, we're on special patrol. Get a move on if you don't have any business here. Businessman says, that Mahjong parlour over there is holding a tournament called the Four Gods Cup. It's a contest to crown the best Mahjong player in Kamurocho. You should enter if you feel up to the challenge. Tanimura asks, have you ever tried it out? The businessman nods. Actually, I have, but I never managed to make it beyond the bottom pool. The competition is really fierce. Well, I'm going to probably be joining you in that bottom pool, sir. So I can't play Mahjong to save my life. Alright, we're in Orchid Palace, and we're talking to the old bloke at the counter. Why can we never find young hot chicks to be at a counter? Anyway, Tanimura says, excuse me. The owner says, oh, Tanimura-san, here to play Mahjong again today? Tanimura says, no, not today. Can you tell me which members were here in the shop when I was playing here yesterday? The owner says, well, there was one person I wasn't familiar with. There were probably someone who came here for the first time yesterday. The other members were those 2 regulars who are playing over there. Okay, which of the 2 regulars, I have to wonder. Tanimura says, oh, that's right, I remember now. Thanks. The owner says, you're very welcome. Did something happen? Sorry, I'm just distracted by the fact that this Mahjong parlour is selling its own food. Apparently. Anyway, Tanimura says, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. The owner says, well, alright. I mean, it's not that the food looks bad or anything, it's just not what I'd think would be in a Mahjong parlour. I mean, for a start, where would you eat it? There's no space on any of the tables for anything other than the board, it would seem. And I don't think anyone's giving up their ashtray so that someone can eat there, right? Anyway, Tanimura says to himself, there's something here. And we've got Taihei Boulevard, locker key F3. God, look at that carpet. That's like that is the kind of carpet that you see in absolutely every state school. The stuff that's very hard wearing, but it holds on to all the dirt so that even an industrial vacuum cleaner can't pick it up, and it feels absolutely revolting on skin. So you never want to sit down on it. And, sorry, we are actually playing a game here. Not reminiscing. Right, let's have a chat, shall we? Tanimura asks, "Hey, you got a minute?" The young man says, "Oh, Tanimura-san, back to do some more damage?" Tanimura says, "No, I'm here to find a snitch, and it better not be you." The young man asks, "Snitch? What are you talking about?" Tanimura says, "Save it. The chief said someone filed a complaint about it yesterday." The young man says, "Come on, Tanimura-san. That wasn't the first time I lost a major chunk of change to you. If I was going to snitch, I would have done it a long time ago. Plus, I don't even want to know what you'd do to me if I did." Right? The student says, "For sure. I can always earn back the cash you rolled me for. The damage you do would probably be a lot more permanent." Tanimura says, "You got that right." The student says, "Oh, what about that other guy at the table? I wouldn't be surprised if he did it." The young man says, "Yeah, he seemed like he was hurting for money. But he was hurting even more after you dropped in and steamrolled us." Tanimura says, "Huh, so where is he now?" The student says, "Oh, he's, The young man cuts in, "Wait a second." Tanimura asks, "What?" The young man says, "Tanimura-san, tell me if I'm wrong, but this isn't official police business, is it? So why should we give away this information for free?" The student says, "Hey, you're right. It's a perfect chance to recoup some of our losses from yesterday." "Oh, you're going there, are you?" Tanimura says, "Oh, come on, guys." The young man asks, "Well, what's it going to be?" Tanimura says, "All right, fine. Name your price." The young man says, "I won't ask much. Like I said, I don't have a death wish. How about 2 silver plates? They give those out as prizes here, so that should be simple enough." Tanimura says, "You really want to stick it to me that bad, huh? Fine, silver plates it is." The young man laughs. "Thanks, officer. We just want to win something for once, so I don't care how you get them. Easiest way is to win or buy enough marshal sticks and exchange them at the price counter. Probably." Right. Well, I'm not advanced, I'm not intermediate, and there appears to be no beginner. So, just, can you hand over 2 silver plates, old man? The owner says, "Hey, I heard you're in need of some prizes." Tanimura says, "Yeah, 2 silver plates. Can you give them to me?" The owner says, "Sorry, no can do. However, you can get them by exchanging sticks, so you can either win a few games of Mahjong or buy the sticks yourself. If you just can't manage to win at Mahjong, feel free to buy sticks and exchange them as is." Tanimura says, The owner says, "Oh, now that I think of it, Tanimura-san, the shop next door sells fake silver plates. Whatever do they use them for?" I may be bent, but people still have to talk to me. The owner says, "Hey boss, would you like to exchange your winnings for prizes or purchase Mahjong sticks? Or would you like to participate in the Genbu Cup?" We want to... first of all, let's see what these things actually cost. Oh... 13,000 sticks each. Sure. Let's just see what they cost. Is it 1-to-1? It is 1-to-1. So we have 25,000 sticks. 25,000 sticks. Thank you. Can I buy another 1,000 sticks? No, I can't. Okay, you'd like to exchange sticks, huh? What'll it be? I'll take a silver plate. Okay, then I guess I'd better actually see if I can... Let's see what intermediate does to me. Customer asks, you want to play a game of Mahjong, man? Gotta have 25,000 sticks on you. You can buy them over at the desk. Okay, well, I'm not playing at that table then. No, not yet. I don't have the 2 silver plates yet, sorry. Alright. So, the shop next door flogs them for silver plates. Where is the shop next door? Is the shop next door on the roof? Does not look like it. Sexy Typhoon. Kamurocho number 1 sexy pub. Okay. And someone somehow got a van up here. The employee says, hello, let's see, I'd like to recommend these items for you, sir. Alright, what have you got? Tanimura says, show me what you've got for sale. The employee says equipment and weapons all have their strengths and weaknesses. That's why I've picked out a few that I think would interest you. Modified lighter, a blackjack, police baton, driver, pepper spray, stun gun, an assassin's spear. Okay. That's the thing. Yes. Oh. Okay. Subdued woman asks, how can I become a hostess? Club 4 shine. They probably do need your tissues before they go inside, sir. I will freely admit that. Barker says, hey tough guy, how about a show? Only 3,000 yen, satisfaction guaranteed. Not just now, thank you. Barker asks, not in that kind of mood? Well, come on back when you are. Alright, so... wonder where this shop is that's supposed to be next door. That is also supposed to sell fake silver plates. And I ask this because I am stuck. I am very stuck. The police officer says, we're on special patrol, get a move on if you don't have any business here. Okay. Oh well. No, that's not next door either. Customer asks, wanting to play a game of Mahjong. You need 25,000 sticks or it's a no-go. You can buy them over at the desk. Okay. I still wouldn't have been able to buy them all. Oh, the owner says here we hold the Mahjong Ranking Genbu Cup, where players compete to determine the best Mahjong player in Kamurocho. Skilled Mahjong players from all over are signing up for it. It's 50,000 yen to sign up for the rankings. Once you're signed up, you can play Mahjong whenever you want. You'll be able to earn better and better prizes each time your rank goes up. If you manage to reach the top of the rankings, you'll win something that'll really make your eyes pop. Well, what do you think? Gonna try and climb your way up the ranks? Not only 1,000 monies to our name. Tanimura says, not now, I'll come back later. The owner asks, is that so? Well, registration's always open, so come back whenever you'd like to play a ranked match. Yes, I do have them. This one plate I'm going to break in two. Fine. Yeah, can't do anything really, can I? This is an interesting kind of speed bump. Right. Let's see. Oh, and there's only the manual save. Sorry. Ibisu porn. Let's see. Manager asks, hello sir, what can I do for you today? What would you like to purchase? Let's see. Well, that was considerably cheaper than the other way. Now let's see if he'll be. And at least we found them and didn't have to reload. The young man says, "Hey Tanimura-san, get those 2 silver plates yet?" Yeah, we got. Yeah. Tanimura says, "Yep, got 'em right here." We handed over 2 fake silver plates. The young man says, "Hey, wait a sec, these are total knockoffs." Tanimura says, "True, but for all intents and purposes, they're still silver plates. You never said anything about quality." The young man says, "Really? You're going to do me dirty like that? And you call yourself a cop?" Tanimura says, "Hey, I get you your plates, you tell me what you know. That was our agreement. You came up with it yourself." The young man says, "Man, you suck. But whatever. Should have known better than to try and pull one over on you." So, the other guy at the table yesterday, his name is Iida. Student says, "Yep, that's your guy. Can't say we know him all that well, but we do see him around every so often." The young man says he mentioned he didn't have a traditional job per se, but he works at the Shichifuku parking lot. Tanimura asks, "Oh, the one over on Shichifuku and Senryo?" Student says, "Yep, that's the one." Now, I don't know what he does over there, but he did say that's where he makes his marshal money. So, I guess he must be doing something right. Tanimura says, "Okay, that's all I need to know." The young man says, "Oh, but be warned, he was super pissed after you left yesterday. Said you weren't going to get away with what you did and other crazy stuff." The student says, "Yeah, he was kind of freaking out, honestly." The young man says, he's a pretty big dude too. Wouldn't want to be in his way when he's mad. Anyway, that's pretty much all we got on him. Tanimura says, "That's more than enough. Guess I'll swing by the Shichifuku parking lot and pay our friend Iida a little visit. See if he's the guy who narked on me." The young man says, "Yikes, sucks to be him. Anyway, come back again and give us another shot, yeah? It's only fair." Tanimura says, "Sure, happy to take your money anytime." Well, at least we've got a plate and 800 monies. And we didn't have to reload, which is beneficial at this point. Inconsiderate date asks, what are you doing? Girl glued to a screen says, Oh, playing pachinko. Inconsiderate date asks, pachinko? On your phone? Girl glued to screen says, yeah, it's called 777 Town. You haven't heard of it? It's an app that lets you play pachinko or slots on your phone, anywhere. Inconsiderate date says, wow, that's cool. Let me try. The girl glued to a screen says, no way, don't you have a date soon? And by soon I mean like now. Inconsiderate date says, oh come on, just one game then I'll go. Tanimura says to himself, 777 Town. Sounds like something the girls at the club might be into. Ooh, he's into the young ladies at the club, is he? Martial arts fan says, you know that guy over at the Shishifuku parking lot? Businesswoman says, nope, what guy? Martial arts fan says, there's this guy who pays people prize money if they can hit him. He pops up at Kamurocho from time to time. The businesswoman asks, really? You should give it a try. I mean, you're always talking about how good you are at all that mixed martial arts stuff. Martial arts fan says, are you kidding me? No way! The dude's got insane footwork. No one ever lands a punch. I watched a half-dozen guys take him on. Not one even managed to graze him. The businesswoman says, that is impressive. I think I'll go see him in an action later. The martial arts fan says, yeah, you really should. The parking lot he's in is over by that one yakiniku restaurant. Oh, we're after yakiniku again, are we? Is there sumo wrestling here? Can we go see some sumo wrestling? That sign is very misleading. I imagine the wedgie isn't very comfortable either. Awful lot of dudes being advertised on this corner, aren't there? Anyway. Tanimura asks, hey, did you mention a Mr. Try and Hit Me? Who or what is that? The student says, yeah, I was just talking about him. He first showed up at Kamurocho about 4 or 5 years ago. He goes around offering prize money to anyone who can land a punch on him. Tanimura says, wow, is he really that good? The student says, I've never seen the guy lose, but I've heard he's been beaten a few times, and it's always by the same person. Tanimura says, He thinks to himself, I wonder if this Mr. Try and Hit Me is the Ida guy I'm looking for. And I wonder if the bloke who's beaten him all the time happens to wear a white suit and a red silk shirt. Anyway, English teacher says, hey, haven't I seen you before? Yes, I remember. I saw you speaking to someone in a foreign language. You must be quite the polyglot. How many languages do you know? Little Asia's adopted son. Due to his upbringing and occupation, Tanimura is well versed in Asian languages. Tanimura is also a resident of Little Asia. He considers the staff of Homeland to be his second family and can use the restaurant as a hideout. That's all been added as a memo. The English teacher says, huh? You know most of the major Asian languages? Really? And I bet you could hold a conversation with anyone who lives here. Yay, we got 500 experience points. Club Luxury. Right. Tanimura says, hey you. The man asks, what's this, Challenger? Finally, someone around here who actually has some balls. Man says, I go by Mr. Try and Hit Me. The job's in the name. Hit me in under a minute and you get 50,000 yen. Only costs 3 grand to play. Want to give it a shot? Tanimura says, hell no. Don't I look familiar to you? Mr. Try and Hit Me says, oh shit, you're that mahjong player. Tanimura says, bingo. Now look, I have some questions for you. Got a few moments? Iida says, nope, don't know nothing. And I definitely didn't rat you out to your superior officer either. So why don't you scurry on back to Donut Patrol? Tanimura says, you're not very bright, are you? But thanks for saving both of us the time. Now's the part where I teach you a lesson for being such a sore loser. Iida laughs. Go ahead and try. Can't touch this, baby. Tanimura says, you gotta be kidding me. Iida says, it ain't no joke, jackass. They used to call me the Artful Dodger back in the day because my footwork alone is a masterpiece. So get ready, because for the very first time in Kamurocho history, Mr. Try and Hit Me is going to try and hit you. This is going to be some groundbreaking shit right here. Tanimura says, yeah, good luck with that. I'll be handing you your ass in under a minute. Iida says, you think you're hot shit, huh? Alright then, game on. It appears to be on. That looks like a very expensive build. White snakeskin, I would say. Oh, he's not liking that. And all his crowd's gone away. Iida says, shit. Tanimura asks, how about it? Want to try again? Iida has no words. Then he says, sorry for ratting you out. I won't do it again. Tanimura says, damn right you won't. Why'd you do it in the first place? Iida says, well, it's like this. I've been living as Mr. Try and Hit Me for years here in Kamurocho. But there's this one scary-looking guy in a grey suit who challenges me to a fight every year. And every year I end up losing. Each time I train harder before I fight him again, and I can't seem to beat him. So I started playing mahjong to take my mind off it, but I ended up getting hooked. Turns out I'm pretty damn good. But just when I started thinking mahjong might be a good way to make a living, you had to come along and spoil the fun. I lost a shitload of money to you. So I was pretty pissed, what with the Mr. Try and Hit Me thing and the Mahjong thing going all to hell. So I picked up the phone and, yeah. Anyway, I'm ready to suffer the consequences. Do your worst, I don't care. Tanimura says, I'm over it. Ida says, what? Tanimura says, I'm saying you're free to go. After all, it's not like you're still out to get me. And besides, I got a few good punches in. Let's just call it even. Ida says, okay. Thanks, pal. Tanimura says, just watch it. Rat me out again, and you won't get off so easily. Ida says, yes, sir, I wouldn't dream of it. Tanimura thinks to himself, right, well, at least I got to work out some aggression. Tanimura's fighting style has become a memo. Right, so what next, I wonder? Upgrade abilities. Take essence of finishing. A ruthless attack executed on a downed enemy. White Tiger Spirit. Taunt enemies with the spirit of the White Tiger to boost morale and increase your heat gauge. Well, it worked for the Power Rangers, so why not? And yes, we'll take Rising Kick, a counterattack executed while downed. Square when down. Right, let's see where we're heading off to. The police scanner says, incoming message from HQ, report of fighting at Theatre Square. Officers in the vicinity head to the crime scene. Tanimura says, I swear, petty incidents like this never end. Guess it's close by. I'll have a look. The defeated businessman says, sorry, over in Theatre Square. The indignant punk says, shut up, bitch. You're the one who started this, and now you just want to back out? You owe me money. I won't deny you need it with that absolutely awful zip-up brown jacket, sir. Tanimura approaches them and says, all right, that's enough. I'll let this one slide if you disappear. Quick. The indignant punk says, huh? You got a problem? Maybe I'll just kick your ass and collect what I deserve from you instead. I mean, you can. Then again, maybe I'll just send you to a dentist. The scared punk is huffing and puffing. He says, you're no joke. Who the hell are you anyways? Tanimura says, I'm Tanimura, a detective here in Kamurocho. Scared punk says, shit, fucking cops. Tanimura says, watch your mouth and get the hell out of here. Arresting punks like you is a waste of my time. Scared punk turns around and starts sprinting away. He shouts, right, consider me God. Defeated businessman says, thank you, you saved me. Tanimura says, no worries. Was just passing by. Don't think too much of it. But you should watch your step from here on out. The defeated businessman says, yes, sir. I apologize for the trouble. I'll be more careful in the future. And he turns and wanders away too. Tanimura says, whew, that takes care of that. Akaishi says, looks like you cleaned that up quite nicely. And walks over. Why does everyone in this town look homeless, even when they're not? Anyway, Tanimura asks, and you are? Akaishi says, oh, I apologize. Oh, I am Akaishi, here representing the Kamurocho Guard. Tanimura asks, Kamurocho Guard? Oh, that volunteer group doing a community watch type of thing? Akaishi says, you know us. Well, it's nice to meet you, Tanimura-san. Tanimura says, huh? How did you know my name? Akaishi says, working in the area has made me really knowledgeable about the local police. And boy, have I heard a lot about you. Tanimura says, I'm almost certain it's nothing good. Akaishi says, anyway, nice work back there. You resolved the situation by being the first on the scene and handled things expediently. Tanimura says, I just came by because I was in the area and heard about it on the radio. Akaishi says, our group gives its all. No, okay. Our group gives its all to maintain the police here in Kamurocho. But with the pleasure district this big, even our combined efforts can't cover all the problems that arise. Tanimura says, that's for sure. Akaishi says, plus, and I'm not sure why, there's been some mystery group trying to interfere with us lately. The nature of our work requires we put ourselves in harm's way, but now we have people actively working against us. Our ranks are thinning. Tanimura says, that's not good at all. Akaishi says, which is why I have a favour to ask you. Would you mind lending us a hand? Tanimura says, huh? Keeping the peace is technically my job, but I don't think I can just up and join your group. Akaishi says, you won't have to actually join, just help out once in a while. Our goal is to resolve incidents like the one you just dealt with. We want to make Kamurocho safer for everyone. To do that, we need the assistance of police like you, that know much more than we do about the area. We will use our funds to reward you, depending on how many incidents you are able to resolve. This isn't easy for me to say, but we've heard rumours you are financially in need pretty often. Anyways, we will pay you a fair amount for your services. Do we have a deal? Tanimura says, one thing bothers me. Akaishi asks, what is it? Tanimura says, well, you said you guys were volunteers, right? Akaishi nods, that's right. Tanimura says, then what's this about funds I'm hearing? Akaishi says, huh? Tanimura says, volunteer groups usually just barely scrape by, that is, unless there's some strong organisation backing them. Akaishi says, well... Tanimura says, if you can't say, that's fine, I guess. Not like I have anything to lose. Akaishi says, thank you, Tanimura-san. You can come by and help whenever you have the time. We won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. Tanimura says, all right, but only want to hear something on the radio and have some spare time. Akaishi says, really? Thank you very much. Tanimura says, so I go to you for the reward money, yeah? Akaishi says, yes, I'm usually here at Theatre Square. Contact me once you've resolved a couple of cases. Tanimura says, you don't mind me collecting a bit on the side from the people I help, right? Akaishi says, I have no issues with that. Tanimura says, Roger that. Akaishi says, this is going to be such a big help. Thanks again. Tanimura thinks to himself, well, as long as they're working for the benefit of Kamurocho, it won't hurt to help out. The information about the police scanner has been added as a memo. Again, we've got a phone call. Tanimura says, Mushi mushi. Zhao says, hey, Ma-chan, I've run into a little problem here. Do you mind stopping by the restaurant? Tanimura says, okay, I'll be there. Zhao says, thanks, see you in a bit. Tanimura says, I wonder what Zhao's gotten mixed up in now. The easiest way to Zhao's place, Homeland, is to cut in from East Taihei Boulevard. So I guess we're heading to the Homeland. I have to say, it's not as combat heavy on the streets as previous Yakuzas is Yakuza 4. I suppose with the coppers out and about, there naturally would be less active physical violence. I guess we'll see. We are just about halfway through, after all. Anyway.
Oh, 景気はどうや。
またですか、谷村さん。
いつも悪いね。
今月2回目ですよ。月1回って約束でしょ。勘弁してくださいよ。
先週入った女、コリアンだろ。留学生か。就労ビザ持ってない外国人が日本で働くのはもちろんだけど、そうと知ってて雇うのも不法就労助長っつう犯罪なの知ってた？捕まれば3年以下の懲役、もしくは300万円以下の罰金。
勘弁してくださいよ。
店の女が警察に逃げ込めねえこと知ってて、いろいろとちょっかい出してるみたいじゃない？あんた。強姦罪も追加されたい。ま、いいや。ところでこの女見かけたら俺に連絡くれ。
誰っすかこれ？
教えない。警察の機密事項だから。とにかく見たらすぐに連絡くれよ。じゃあまた。你们好吗？该现在陪你们玩。
阿赞，
嗨，叫在里头吗？
是啊，
票被强制送还，孩子怎么办？是吗？啊，明白了，我来照顾孩子。啊，别担心。
また一人増えるのか。
あ、父親が韓国に送還されたらしい。
どうして？
先日その父親が交通事故を起こしてな。そのまま警察に引っ張られてオーバーステイがバレたらしい。
そりゃついてないな。
子供はまだ5歳。うちで面倒見るしかないだろうな。
その子供の養育費にでも回してくれ。
ギャンブルか、それともまた巻き上げてきたのか。
どっちもかな。
まったくお前さんってやつら。まあありがたいのは山々だけどな。あまり無理すんなよ。
Still can't tell if Tanimura is the good kind of bent or the bad kind of bent. He seems to be having a bet both ways. But anyway, Zhao asks, "So what kept you today? I thought you'd be here earlier." Tanimura says, "This detective, Sugiyuchi-san, was grilling me back at the station. Ever since that shooting, homicide's been all up in my ass." Zhao laughs. "Police questioning police? That's ridiculous." Tanimura says, "Yeah, normally I wouldn't give a damn, but apparently this wasn't just one random punk killing another. It was significant enough to set the Tojo clan against itself. Although why homicide cares so much about mob activity is beyond me. That's what organized crime's for." Zhao says, "Either way, we don't need another gang war in this city." Tanimura says, "Oh, and it's not just the Tojo clan. I hear the Ueno Seiwa's involved." Zhao asks, "Ueno Seiwa? Wait, isn't that..." Tanimura nods. "Yeah, the same clan my dad was investigating after the Yoshiharu Ueno hit, right around when he was murdered." Zhao asks, "You think this is connected somehow?" Tanimura says, "Can't say. All I know is the Ueno Seiwa clan's been quiet for 25 years. But now there's this shooting a week ago, and suddenly they've gone into overdrive. Something's definitely up. Following this case could lead me to someone who knows the truth about who killed my dad." Zhao asks, "You still looking for that woman?" Tanimura says, "Yeah, Yasuko Saejima. Her brother Taiga's the one who carried out the hit on Ueno. She's been missing ever since that went down." Zhao asks, "And you really think this Yasuko Saejima knows why your father was killed?" Tanimura says, "Maybe, maybe not, but the last thing written in his notebook was, 'Meet with Yasuko Saejima.' That has to mean something." Zhao says, "So she might even be the last person who saw him alive." Tanimura's phone is ringing rather insistently, and it sounds like he's about to run out of battery power too. Anyway, the manager of Midori asks, "Is this Tanimura?" Tanimura says, "Yeah, speaking." The manager of Midori says, "This is Park, the manager at Midori." Tanimura says, "Midori? Oh right, the Korean salon. What do you want?" Is Midori a Korean word? I know it's Japanese for green, but this will be like that whole kibbled salt thing from Trails in the Sky 1, where I just will not research it at all. Anyway, what does this Park bloke want from Tanimura? Park, the manager of Midori, asks, "Could you come here as soon as possible?" Tanimura asks, "Why? The police raiding the place or something?" The manager of Midori says, "No, nothing like that. It's about that woman you've been looking for. Someone who looks just like her is here right now." Tanimura asks, "Are you serious?" The manager of Midori says, "That's why I'm calling. Hurry up before she leaves." Tanimura says, "Okay, be right there," and hangs up. Zhao asks, "Something wrong?" Oh, those little folds and creases on Zhao's neck. Disturbingly realistic. Just like Don Corneo's belly jiggling. Yes. Anyway, Tanimura says, "I knew it. That killing set something in motion. Zhao-san, I think I found her." Zhao says, "Wait, the woman we were just talking about?" Tanimura says, "I don't know if it's really her, but I've got no reason to doubt it." Zhao says, "I see. Then I suggest you be careful." Tanimura says, "You think?" Zhao says, "I'm serious. You're telling me this woman shows up out of nowhere right as the Ueno Seiwa make their biggest ruckus in 25 years? The timing is too perfect." Tanimura says, "So you're saying she's involved somehow?" Zhao says, "Well, you're about to find out, aren't you? Now go. Find her before she disappears again." Tanimura says, "Right," and walks out the door. Mei Hua? Oh. Those ducks. Those ducks. And that pig head. Well, almost as disturbing as Ma's kitchen back in Sleeping Dogs, even before she goes to work with her chopping knife on the bloke who betrayed and killed her son. Anyway, Mei Hua asks, "Are you running off already, Ma-chan?" Tanimura says, "Yep, business as usual. You know how it is." Mei Hua says, "Let us know if you need anything, okay? You know you're always welcome here. After all, we couldn't be called Homeland if we weren't your home away from home." Tanimura says, "That's sweet, Mei Hua. Thank you. We now have access to a hideout. Here you can save your game, move items to the item box, reminisce on past events, and view your play stats. Furthermore, your health will recover while at a hideout." Right. Yes. Try not to grow up too quick in Kamurocho. Mei Hua. Outside, Tanimura thinks to himself, "I wonder if the woman at Midori is the same one I've been looking for." And surprise, surprise, we need to head to Midori. Lee's wife says, 2 million yen in 1 week? That's impossible. Lee says, "We just have to trust him. He'll be back to return the money." Lee's wife says, when? 1,000,000 years from now? This room was completely empty. Your friend took you for everything you were worth. Tanimura asks, what's going on here? Lee's wife says, listen to this. This good-for-nothing fool just ruined our whole lives. Oh, your haircut, dear, is just barbarous. No pun intended. Lee's wife says they'll take our restaurant unless we get 2,000,000 yen by the end of the week. Tanimura says, I'm sorry, what? I don't get the full picture. Lee says, one of my friends needed some money, but he didn't have anything for collateral, so... Lee's wife says, that's no reason to put our restaurant on the chopping block. Really, how much of an idiot are you? Lee asks, how could I say no to helping out a friend in need? Lee's wife says, help? The only help you've done is help ruin our business and destroy our livelihood. Oh, now what are we going to do? We've worked our hands to the bone for years to get this place, and now we're going to lose it all over nothing. Lee says, I'm sorry. Tanimura says, so you got took for 2,000,000, huh? That's a lot of money. I don't think even Zhao-san has that much tucked away. Zhao asks, what's all this commotion? Tanimura says, oh, Zhao-san, guess what happened to this guy? Zhao says, it's just as your wife says, there are limits to what you can do for people. Tanimura asks, can't you use some Asian gateway funds? Zhao says, no way, we don't have 2,000,000 lying around. Tanimura says, yeah, I figured as much. The only other thing I can think of is gambling, but 2,000,000's a dicey proposition. Zhao says, don't tell me you're seriously considering this. Tanimura says, I am. Now, Zhao-san, do you know of any underground casinos? Somewhere with really high stakes? Zhao says, this is Lee's doing, Ma-chan. You don't have to go that far out of your way to help him. Tanimura says, well, I couldn't help him even if I wanted to with my salary, but there's nothing wrong with earning a quick buck at the tables, right? Zhao says, if that's your decision, then I won't complain. But I've been worried about you getting into gambling, regardless of all the help you've given us. That's why I haven't told you. Tanimura asks, told me what? Zhao says, I hear there's an underground casino in Kamurocho. People call it the Dragon Palace. Tanimura asks, really? Do you know where it is? Zhao says, only that it's somewhere on Park Boulevard. Tanimura says, that's a start. I'll go look for it. Lee says, thank you. Lee's wife says, yes, really, thank you. Tanimura says, don't worry about it. Besides, we're talking about gambling here. There's a strong chance I'll lose, so don't get your hopes up yet. And if I do manage to win, that'll just mean you have luck on your side, right? Lee says, sir, you're wonderful. Tanimura says, well, I'll be back. As said General MacArthur. Tanimura thinks to himself, so the Dragon Palace is somewhere on Park Boulevard, huh? I should go have a look. Actually, we should go and look for... What are you doing here? Oh, okay. Tanimura thinks there's something here. We got Tahi Boulevard, locker key number D2. I see. Yes, we need to go and find this lady at Midori. Yep. The bidet just doesn't seem right, I'll be honest. Man speaking broken Japanese says, welcome, welcome, want to buy something? We can get Torana Plus, or sake. No, we're alright. Really? Well, come again, please. That's alright. Oh. Tanimura again thinks to himself, there's something here. We got Taihei Boulevard locker key D3. Gang fight reported on each Shishibuku street. All nearby units report. One has to wonder why there is never anyone trying to bump fuzzies in one of these back alleys. I'm not going to asking. That's a lot of it's a lot of rubbish just piled up there. Speaking in broken Japanese says, well, this is a different man speaking broken Japanese. He says, welcome, welcome, want to buy something, it's cheap, real cheap. Stamina X, Stamina XX, or Stamina Royale. No, not just a moment, thank you, mate. Really? Well, come again, please. There's Clubberlees. Chibana. This man says, the fuck you gonna do about the contact lens you just stepped on? Now I can't see shit. You better pay up, pea-brain. Okay. Come on, pal. That is a very unique grappling throw, so congratulations there. The man says, ow, I'm sorry, I lied about all that. Here's something for your trouble, sorry. You got a dreamy gold plate. Yay. Well, you can beat me up anytime as long as I keep getting gold plates from you, so. The manager of Midori says, ah, it's you, sir. The lady you're looking for is inside. Tanimura says, okay, can you get her for me? The manager of Midori says, sure, I mean, I would, but, it's a bit complicated. Tanimura asks, what, is she busy or something? The manager of Midori says, no, she's free, it's just... Tanimura says, spit it out already. Manager of Midori says, I realise I'm actually in a pretty awkward position here. But if this woman really is the one you're looking for, then Tanimura says, yes. The manager of Midori asks, could you maybe figure out a way to skip next month's inspection? Tanimura has nothing to say to this. The manager of Midori says, a bunch of new workers from Korea just arrived, you see, and another raid would ruin us. Tanimura again has nothing to say. The manager of Midori says, I'm begging you, think of all the good I'm doing for these people. Tanimura says, then I guess it wouldn't kill you to pay them right. The manager of Midori says, huh? Tanimura says, I'm saying you need to give these girls the money they deserve. Don't just skim off the top because you think no one's watching, because someone is. Treat your workers with respect and make sure they earn a decent living. Do that, and I'll see what I can do about the inspection. Maybe we can even be civil. The manager of Midori says, understood. It'll happen just as you said. You have my word. Tanimura says, okay then. Let's see who you found.
"何かお客さんが用事があるって店長さんに言われたんですが。
驚いたな。
え
？25年も経ってるのに変わらない人もいるもんだ。やっと会えた。ずっと探していたんですよ。
Tanimura says, you're Yasuko Saejima, right? Yasuko says, huh? Tanimura says, there's something I need to know about a shooting in 1985. Something only you can tell me. Yasuko says, I don't know anything about any shooting. Tanimura says, hey, don't be so tense. You can trust me. And he shows off his warrant card. Yasuko says, I told you I don't know anything. Tanimura says, oh, what's wrong? I'm one of the good guys here. Yasuko sees someone behind Tanimura. Oh, sees plenty of people behind Tanimura. Shibatsu family member says, we finally got you, you little hussy. Yasuko says, you're Shibata's men. Tanimura says, probably his bottom rung goons by the looks of it. Shibatsu family member says, what, you ditched that money grubber for this dickhead? Not that I give a rat's ass, you still owe a boss a visit. Now, you're coming with us. We've wasted too much time on you already. Tanimura says, sorry, but the lady and I have business to discuss, so why don't you buzz off? Shibatsu family member says, you think we take orders from you? Should have watched that mouth, pretty boy, because it's about to get swollen shut. Promises, promises. Oh, yeah, you're not using your nose for a few months after that, my friend. Oh, neither are you. Tanimura thinks to himself, geez, what a waste of time. What the heck? She's gone. Tanimura says to the fallen Shibata men, hey, your people took her somewhere, didn't they? Shibata family member says, what do you care? She's probably popping bottles with the boss right now. Or popping his bottle, perhaps. Tanimura says, stop feeding me bullshit and tell me where she is. Shibata family member just laughs and he says, fine, guess we brought him enough time. They're probably down at the Tokyo Bay docks by now. Really though, I wonder what they're doing to her. Nothing good knowing the boss. Tanimura says, damn it. Then he starts thinking to himself, I need to get to the docks right away. Better catch a cab. And we need to find Yasuko. So we'd best hurry to find a cab. You don't really realise how many entrances there are into Asia Town until you actually see them pointed out on the map. Look at them all. We're going to the docks, thank you. Tanimura says, there's no way I can avoid fighting. Should I get more prepared before I go? No, we're fairly good. We've got 90 yen left. The taxi driver says, very well, sir. Oh, and they're waiting for us right as we arrive, by the looks of it. Tanimura thinks to himself, shit, I gotta get it back in one piece. Time to burn through these guys. No stabby stab, thank you. Oh, that was quite the ragdoll for me. Tokyo Metropolitan Police probably wouldn't have a section on stabbing felons repeatedly with knives. Oh, yeah! he's running away. That wasn't nice of you, sir. Just grab this toughness ZZ. We should learn a new ability or two. Actually, I think I'll save and take Essence of Combos at the next level. Oh. Yes, I am. So I step into it. Don't know why I did that. Right, well that was that level. So as I promised, Essence of Combos. An additional finish to finishing blows. Mastery may unlock a follow-up technique. Triangle. Immediately after any finishing blow connects. Okay, we'll take Essence of Armbarring as well. A skillful technique where you armbar an enemy that is trying to get up. Triangle near an enemy trying to get back up. Oh, we've got a Toughness Emperor. Can't get past the truck. That's where it came from, so... Oh. He's probably not going to like that when he wakes up. But they do have remarkably excellent medical facilities in Japan, so... Guess we're going down here. Oh, this isn't good, is it? Probably not. Okay, so it's slippery. Oh, very slippery. Forgot. If you don't mind, sir. Oh, that's just a little bit problematic. You're scared with your Uzi. That's unfortunate. I didn't really want you to be scared. Oh, come on. Okay, so apparently you can't block a katana. Who would have thought? Yeah, get that sponsored sushi in you. Well, that's helpful. Really? Stay down, please. Inside the main warehouse. Shibata says, "It seems like everything's going quite smoothly. Simply lay low for a while and wait until the storm blows over. Then things can proceed." Got that right? Arai says, "Understood." Shibata says, the 6th German will never suspect we're hiding you here. Quite the bargain for just one finger, wouldn't you say? Arai says, you mean that little charade of yours? Nice touch. Shibata says, I'll be meeting with Katsuragi tomorrow afternoon to work out the finer details of the truce. Arai says, I see. And the location? Shibata says, Kamurocho, someplace called Cafe Alps. Arai says, but is Kamurocho really the right place to hold a meeting so out in the open? Tojo headquarters could easily discover the link between you two. Shibata says, it's fine. Katsuragi and I have a perfectly good reason for being seen together. If anything, people will just assume I'm offering a further apology. Or at least I could spin it that way. Arai says, of course. Shibata says, but I do see why it might worry you. Especially with this woman, and the unexpected headache she's caused.
まさかこんな女が今世間を騒がせている連続殺人事件の犯人だったとはな。どうして柴田組の関係者ばかりを狙ったんだ？
仕方なかったんです。1億なんて用意できると思わなかったから。
何おかしなこと言ってるんだ。なるほど。なかなかいい女だ。これなら男は色仕掛けに引っかかるってわけか。
柴田組長、もういいでしょう。この女が柴田組の関係者を殺して回っていたことは確かです。殺してしまいましょう。私の方で始末しておきます。
まあ待て。
組長。
俺はな、どうしてこの女がうちの連中を殺して回ったのか知りたいんだよ。それにこの女の色仕掛けがどこまでのもんか試してみたいもんじゃねえか。
あんたはもう用済みだ。
どういうことだ？荒井。
心配しないでください。これも計画のうちなんですから。この女の仕事は終わってない。まだ必要なんですよ。我々にはね。
我々だと？
ええ、そうです。私と桂木さん、それにあと数名の協力者にとってね。
お前、桂木の方に寝返ったのか？
柴田さん、勘違いしないでください。私は花から柴田組と組んでいるつもりはない。最後に教えといてあげます。25年前の事件、桂木さんと手を組んでいたのはあんただ。そうですよね。あの事件、あんたは自分の出世のため桂木さんに手を貸した。でもそれ以来、あんたは事件の真相をネタに桂木さんに見返りを求めすぎた。桂木さんにとって今のあんたは邪魔者でしかない。それじゃ。
警察だ！銃を捨てろ！
りしろ。25年前上野義治の襲撃事件を仕組んだのはあんたなのか。あの事件にはどんな裏があるんだ。おい柴田、しっかりしろ。くそ。
That is one way to throw another cat among the pigeons. Anyway, it's also a good point to leave off the episode. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next episode.